Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chaitanya Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadayam Padanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Sriyutapadakam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Swavadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Kopisha Kopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavani Rishabhanushute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanjakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhayascha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Rasadi Gaura Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om. Shashwin, let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim
Saraswatim
Swatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet.
Nashtaprayeshu Patreshu. You know this shloka?
No.
Okay, so this is text 18. Nashtaprayeshu Patreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. We are on chapter 2, which is the divinity and the divine service. And today's text is text 6. Shashwin, read the text and then we can release you. We can go ahead then. Hare Krishna Path Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Savai Puntam Tov Satarmo Yato Bhaktiradokshaje Ahaitukya Pratihata Yayatma Suprasidati. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shashwin. Soni Mataji, do you have the Srimad Bhagavatam with you? Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, yeah.
Mataji, can you do word-to-word translation and start with the purport, and then you can stop whenever you want, and I'll take over because it's a long purport.
Okay. 1 to 6. 1 to 6. Sorry. Okay. What word? Saha,
Saha,
that.
that.
Why?
Why?
Certainly.
Certain.
Pumsam,
Pumsha,
for mankind.
for mankind.
Paraha,
Paraha,
sublime.
sublime.
Dharmaha,
Dharmaha,
occupation.
occupation.
Yatha,
Yata,
by which.
by which.
Bhakti,
Bhakti,
devotional service.
devotional service.
Adokshaje,
Adokshaje,
unto the transcendence.
onto the transcendence.
Ahetuki,
Ahetuki,
causeless.
causeless.
Apratihata,
Apratihata,
unbroken.
unbroken.
Yaya,
Yaya,
by which.
by which.
Atma,
Atma,
the self.
the self.
Suprasidati,
Suprasidati,
completely satisfied.
completely satisfied.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The supreme occupation, Dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service and to the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Purport. In this statement, Sri Suta Goswami answers the first question of the sages of Naimisaranya. The sages asked him to summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures and present the most essential part so that the fallen people or the people in general might easily take it up. The Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for the human being. One is called pravritya marga, or path of sense enjoyment, and the other is called the nivritya marga, or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. The material existence of the living being is a diseased condition of actual life. Actual life is spiritual existence, or Brahma Bhuta existence, where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. There is no happiness at all. There is just the futile attempt to get rid of the miseries. And temporary cessation of misery is falsely called happiness. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment, which is temporary, miserable, and illusory, is inferior. But devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal, blissful, and all-cognizant life, is called the superior quality of occupation. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with the inferior quality. For example, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Renunciation or abnegation for ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in the diseased condition of life. Such enjoyment only aggravates the symptoms of disease and increases its duration. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality, that is, without the least desire for material enjoyment. One should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation in the form of the devotional service of the Lord without any tinge of unnecessary desire, fruitive action, and philosophical speculation. This alone can lead one to perpetual solace in his service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We have purposely denoted dharma as occupation because the root meaning of the word dharma is that which sustains one's existence. A living being's sustenance of existence is to coordinate his activities with his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna is the central pivot of living beings, and he is all attractive living entity or eternal form amongst all other living beings or eternal forms. Each and every living being has his eternal form in the spiritual existence. And Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. Krishna is complete, whole, and everything else is his part and parcel. The relation is one of the servant and the served. It is transcendental and is completely distinct from our experience in material existence. This relation of servant and served is the most congenial form of intimacy. One can realize it as devotional service progresses. Everyone should engage himself in that transcendental loving service of the Lord, even in the present conditional state of material existence. This will gradually give one the clue to actual life and please him to complete satisfaction. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, we are just waiting for Mataji to join, but we can deliberate as I send her a message. I think this word ahituki, we had seen it earlier somewhere as well. I remember that word ahituki.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Mataji, it is there in chapter 13, slokas 8 to 13, I think.
Causeless mercy.
It is, I just remember the verse. It is the Krishna describes, I think, about what is knowledge and what is not knowledge in those verses.
Yeah.
So unalloyed devotion, unalloyed devotion to the Lord, like that, he explains.
Yeah.
Ahituki.
Ahituki. I think it's a nice word. That's why I remember as well. Ahituki. Okay, so here I think this is the first question that the sages of Naimisharana had asked. What is the eternal good for everybody? And here I think Sri Sutta Goswami answers it and explains to us the inferior and the superior energy. Pravritti is all the work that we are doing, while Nivritti is renunciation. And we should be always in the mode of Nivritti to get Satchit Ananda, which is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. And our whole main purpose of life is to attain the devotional service of the Lord. Any more additions? There's much more over here. I don't want to exhaust it. Mataji is in a meeting and she's just wrapping up her meeting. I want us to appreciate that it is 10 o'clock in the United States where she joins us from. and she's working. So, and it's a working day, Thursday. So before this class, she always has a meeting. So she's just finishing and will join us as soon as possible.
Nice verse, Mataji, to remember and recite. Very nice, with
Maybe-
realization. Yeah.
Maybe Prabhuji, you can read line by line and we can repeat after you. So we practice our Sanskrit as well. Prabhuji.
Oh, okay, Mataji. Savai pumsam paro dharmo
Savai
Savai
pumsam
pumsam
paro
paro
dharmo
yato bhaktiradokshage
yato bhakti adokshaje
ahaituki apratihata
ahaituki apratihata
yayatma suprasidati.
yayatma suprasidati.
One,
Pro-
two more times, Prabhuji.
Okay. Savai pumsam paro dharmo
Savai
Savai pumsam
pumsam
paro
paro
dharmo
dharmo
yato bhaktiradokshage
yato bhakti adokshaje
ahaituki apratihata
ahaituki apratihata
yayatma suprasidati.
yayatma suprasidati.
Savai pumsam paro dharmo
Savai pumsam paro dharmo
dharmo
yato bhaktiradokshage
yato bhakti adokshaje
ahaituki apratihata
ahaituki apratihata
yayatma suprasidati.
yayatma suprasidati.
One time all together, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Savai
Savai
pumsam paro
pumsam
dharmo
Yato
yato
bhakti adokshaje
bhaktiradokshage ahaituki
ahaituki
apratihata
apratihata
yayatma
yayatma
suprasidati.
suprasidati.
Very nice, and I always like this verse, and that Prabhupada also has a nice lecture on this verse.
Okay, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can you share some realization till Mataji joins us on this verse?
The purport itself we can read again and again, Mataji. It's such a nice purport by Prabhupada.
Okay.
Okay, I can read the translation once again. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So actually, Prabhupada has given ahaituki means unmotivated, Mataji, unmotivated and uninterrupted. So that's what he, translates ahaituki into it. And also in the purport, in this statement, Sri Sutta Goswami answers the first question of the sages of Naimisharanya. The sages asked him to summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures and present the most essential part of the fallen people, so that the fallen people or the people in general might easily take it up. The Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for the human being. One is called the pravritti marga, or the path of sense enjoyment, and the other is called nivritti marga, or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. The material existence of the living being is a diseased condition of actual life. Actual life is spiritual existence or Brahma Bhuta existence, where the life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. So, we are daily experiencing this full of miseries and diseases and non-permanence, because, many of us might have lost near and dear ones. Suddenly they go away. And then we don't know, I came into Krishna consciousness basically because of this inquisitiveness. Because, in my childhood days, I've lost many friends, suddenly gone into the thin air. I was just questioning, why is it so that somebody suddenly dies and goes away, and what is the purpose of life? So then the inquisitiveness starts, that what is all this, what is all the purpose of life? I mean, there must be something just other than just living the normal way of life other people, I mean, most of us are living, that eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So if you keep on doing that, and then what is the purpose and what is the goal of life? So Prabhupada beautifully explains here on the purpose of life, and compares it with the spiritual life, and because as he explains it, we are all Satchit Ananda Vigraha. That means we are eternally present, and then we are eternally blissful and eternally knowledgeable. So, but in this disease condition of life, we are miserable, and then temporary. Also, it is temporary. Just because we are living, we are breathing here, doesn't mean that we will continue to breathe. So I would like to also connect a shloka here. There is a shloka called Pratishvasam Savishvasam Ramam Smarati Dine Dine Punashvasam Na Vishwaso Agamishyati Vanava. That means we need to chant the holy names of Rama and Krishna with every breath. Pratishvasam Savishvasam. So with Vishwasa, with faith, we need to chant Rama Nama. Then Punashvasam Na Vishwaso. That means the next breath is not known. Next breath can be taken away by any moment. So Punashvasam Na Vishwaso Agamishyati Vanava. That means whether it will come or not, we will never know. So this is the temporary and then non-permanent nature of this world. So we need to take each and every minute as a service to Krishna. And then by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, this process has been simplified so much that we just have to take the names of Krishna. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the second verse of Shikshashtakam, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti. That means he has put so much potency of in each name of Krishna, that we are so unfortunate that we don't take the names, and then we just involve in our worldly affairs, in our day-to-day affairs. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for nicely explaining that. Radhika Kasturi Mataji has joined us, so I will hand over to her without much ado.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Please
Krishna.
kindly take over. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Very nice. Umajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtaya Pradeshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So definitely like the point, Prabhuji, that you brought about with regards to the breaths. So there is the point that I just wanted to further add on to what Prabhuji was saying. So whenever we take breath, so for 1 hour, I think it averages to around 900 breaths. So for 12 hours, it's 10,800 breaths that we take. So Lord's name should be there all the time, it seems. And Prabhuji was right. Every breath we should chant the name of the Lord. And every breath, the holy name has to be chanted. So 1 hour, 900 breaths, and 12 hours is 10,800 breaths that we take. And those breaths, all of them should chant. At least that also goes back to the point to say that we never forget the Lord at any point in time. Always remember Lord Krishna in our hearts, right? Never forget Krishna. That's one of the principles. And for that, the breath should remind us about chanting the glories of the holy names of the Lord. So very well said, Prabhuji. I really love that point and just wanted to add on to that. So with that, we can get started with today's verse. I pay my humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas here on the call, and please bless me so that I'm able to speak the relevant words of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Vargas. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, dear devotees. So this verse is a very important verse from Bhagavatam, very often quoted verse, right? So here, it's important for us to understand many principles, and what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say here, we will try to see as much as possible. And if possible, I would also like to go back to Radhanath Maharaj's journey home and understand a few things from there. I'm not sure if we'd have time, but those are so nice that I wanted to kind of connect to what we are talking about here in this part of the section. So Sutta Goswami, he says, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo. Paro means superior. So there are different types of religion per se, but some are superior and some are inferior. Because religion, again, cannot be superior or inferior, isn't it? Because we are here in this material world, it is conducted by what? The material modes of nature. And there are three kinds of material modes, as we all know: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So because, and that is the reason why we have religions, some are superior and some are inferior, because it's being concocted by the modes. All right, so according to the Vedic system, so what is the, so we have some restrictions, right? If we were to eat some meat, then we have to worship goddess of Kali and then eat the meat, right? And even in Muslim religions, we have to eat meat, we have to probably do that by chanting Quran or whatever that is followed in the Quran, we have to do that. So according to country, people, there may be differences. But the first class religion, what does it teach? It simply teaches us devotional service to the Lord. And if you're situated on that platform of first class religion, then what is Srila Prabhupada saying? You get all the good qualities of human being. All of them, they come in you. This is what 5.18.12 says. If anyone has developed unalloyed devotion to Lord Krishna, then all the good qualities of demigods actually develop in him automatically. And there is also Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.31 says, Mayahara anta yaha Surya yaha Krishna taha nehi mayakara anta mayara adhikara. So this means Krishna consciousness is just like a sunlight. So wherever there is sun, there is no darkness. So Krishna, as soon as there is Krishna consciousness, there is no more illusion, there is no more Maya. So the supreme dharma for all the humanity is that we need to awaken this loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord and be compassionate with all the living beings that are around in this world. And that such love and such service and such compassion should be accompanied by desires that are unmotivated, right? And uninterrupted in any situation. Whatever this world may have to do for us, whatever situation we are put up in, our desire should not be selfish. It should be unmotivated. And what does that mean? It means to please the Lord always. And it has to be uninterrupted without any kind of cessation. So this is what is ultimately the perfection of human form of life. If we have developed this unalloyed, akinchana, unalloyed devotion to Lord, then we have achieved that sort of perfection in our life. So we have to probably start, I mean, what we are all up to is at some point we realize, oh, so once we start to realize, at least this is a material desire, and that is the knowledge that Krishna gives to us, right? I mean, we should be happy about that fact. Our heart is filled with anarthas, but again, we have our holy name to rescue. So many things in Krishna consciousness come for rescue to actually get to this level of perfection. So the soul, by its nature, it has this nature to serve the Lord and to love the God. And that is the nourishment that the soul gets. And that is the way we would be satisfied in our heart, right? Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, he is our father. And so we need to awaken the love that is there in our heart. And then everything will manifest automatically. So when we have this love, and we would just then show this love as compassionate, being compassionate to everybody, we would then have satisfaction in our heart, and we'll not be boggled down by prestige, pride, greed, ego. All that will not bother us anymore. So the service attitude, which is motivated by love and not by prestige, greed, ego, that is unmotivated and uninterrupted. We need to understand that. And the real aim of life is to get complete satisfaction. And this satisfaction can be complete only by following this process of devotional service. There is no other method. There is no other method. If you want to be happy, free from all anxieties, then you must engage yourself in devotional service. That is going to make you free from material anxieties and material miseries. So what does Shishtastakam first verse says? Cheto darpanam archanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam. So your the material anxieties, the material miseries of this world, all of them, they are going to be taken away if you're going to chant the glories of the holy names of the Lord in the right mood. That is important. So very important to have that right attitude. Even during this process of hearing, we should have the right attitude to hear. What can I learn through this? What is Srila Prabhupada trying to say through this? There has to be hearing, absorption in hearing, and after that there has to be mananam and then nididhyasanam, right? Mananam means contemplation about the subject matter after we have heard the subject matter. And then after that, we are going to get into nididhyasanam, that is practical application of what is being taught. So these are the ways through which we can actually get ourselves immersed in this process of devotional service. So for us to be happy, we have to have loving relationship with the Lord, and that loving relationship with the Lord will help us to get all good qualities this world has to offer. And that is not going to go away. Once you get it, you have it forever. So we are all seeking that position, isn't it? How to become completely happy. The whole world is there. You know, if you go to any place, there is something or other going on. Even now we have Russia and Ukraine problem, right? It's very, very sad. This world is Dukalayam Ashashvatam. We cannot expect peace in this world. Anything can happen to us any moment. So there is this question of urgency. Oh, I'll just try to do it tomorrow. That tomorrow never comes. I will change this habit tomorrow. That tomorrow never comes. There is the sense of urgency right now because we don't know. Any moment, anything can happen to us. This is Kali Yuga status. There is only one remedy. We have to engage seriously in devotional service. We have to have the engagement of our senses, mind, and intelligence in the service of the Lord, right? That is the foremost thing. And Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. So whenever and wherever there is a decline of religious practice, or descendant of Bharata, predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So whenever there are discrepancies in the execution of real purpose of the human life, then Krishna, he descends to resolve those discrepancies. And that is Dharma. That is the constituted Dharma means actual constitutional position. It is not artificial. So just like how the fire has light, you cannot separate light from fire or heat from fire. Therefore, heat and light is Dharma of the fire. And that is real religion. So our constitutional nature is to serve the Lord. And that is the Dharma of the soul. So this is the Paro Dharma, to engage ourselves in this process of devotional service. Krishna, he has appeared in his holy name. There is no difference between the holy name of Lord Krishna, because Krishna is absolute. There is no difference between his name, form, qualities, and pastimes, right? His abode, his entourage. There is no difference. Materially, materially we see people with so many differences. Oh, he is an Indian, he is an American, he is this designation, he is the CEO of this company, he is doing this, he is doing that. But Krishna is absolute. So in this material world, we come here to what? To satisfy our senses. This is material life. But that's not the right process. To develop sense enjoyment is not right. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. The modern civilization, it is increasing and getting us to a direction where there is so much sense enjoyment, making our life more and more complicated, more and more entangled. It's very difficult. To escape from all of this, we need to have good association. To come under the association of like-minded devotees, listen to Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, then Tushyan teacher, Raman teacher, contemplate about the subject matter, discuss about, okay, I had this anartha, you know what, I did this to resolve this. And what did you do? Another Mataji says, I did this. So this is what we need to do, exchange Krishna Katha, chant the glories of the holy names of the Lord, coming under the association of devotees, and then sharing our realizations and how we practically apply things. Oh, you know, I had this anartha, but how did I resolve? Oh, Mataji, you resolved it that way, then probably I can also try to resolve that anartha in that particular way. So instead of gratifying our senses, we actually gratify the senses of the Lord. This is what Krishna wants. He wants ourselves to become purer and purer. And in that process, we'll be able to better serve him. Right now, we may serve him, but a lot of impurities, you know, isn't it? A lot of impurities are there. Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardana. He still accepts whatever we do. Just like how a small child, whatever a small child does to the parent is happy. He may disrupt the environment, he may do a lot of mischief, but still the parent actually shows his love to that child because he is coming to him. Likewise, we are also children of Krishna. Whatever we are doing, Krishna is still accepting. That is because of his compassionate nature. But we should not misuse it to our advantage. We should try to get purified so that we are able to better serve him. Okay, and then again, Isha Upanishad, it says, Tena Taktena Bunjita, right? We cannot independently also gratify our senses. So the best example is given, right? Nice food stuff is there, Rasagulla is there. What does the finger do? The finger tries to catch that Rasagulla, but it cannot enjoy directly. That is not possible. What must it do? It must actually give it to the stomach. And when it's given to the stomach, the energy is produced by eating that food stuff is distributed to all the parts. Not only that finger, but other fingers and other parts of the body also get that nourishment, the energy. So this is Krishna conscious movement. We are actually making Krishna in the center. Yat karoshi yatasnasi. Right? Whatever we work, whatever work we do, we ultimately want to give the result to Krishna conscious. Krishna. Any word, Krishna is so flexible. Any work that you do, just say Krishna Arpanamastu. Right? We dedicate it to Krishna. That is how much he's coming down to us. Okay, you cannot directly work for me. No problem. I'm going to, whatever work you like, do it. Just give the result to me. He gives us the ladder, right? We talked about the ladder of devotional service in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is coming to get us, right? He wants us back home, back to Godhead. So we need to endeavor and we need to give that little bit of, we need to put in our endeavor so that Krishna is able to get us more closer to him, right? That is important. So we need to see there are so many occupational duties that are there. You know, there is so much this thing, you know, factories, I have to work here, I have to work there. No problem. Just do your duty. Just offer the results to Krishna. Krishna is ready to take that. Then also you're fine. That's what Krishna says. So just like how I gave you this example of Rasagulla, it gives it to the stomach and then it enjoys. That is the process. The spirit of giving to Krishna is what is forgotten now. That is what we need to revive. Therefore, people are suffering. Wherever there is Krishna, there is no darkness, but people don't want to turn to Krishna. If they would have understood this process of Krishna consciousness and what is being taught in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, then there will be nobody who will fight with other countries. There is that thing which is Krishna in the center is completely forgotten. You take the rasagulla, you give it to the stomach. Likewise, you keep Krishna in the center. Give enjoyment to him. You will become happy eventually. You give this rasagulla to Krishna. Take it as a prasadam. Then you will be happy. Otherwise, it is not going to bring us happiness. People are now following the wrong process to enjoy directly. I want to enjoy. I want to gratify my senses. I want to fulfill my dreams. This is the implication. The Shastra says that your happiness is destined according to the body you get. That is already made up, set up, and we cannot change anything about it. So Shastra says, don't try to increase the so-called happiness by laboring and working hard. Whatever your body has got, a certain type of body that you are in, that will give you certain type of happiness. Just like a hog, Srila Prabhupada says, a hog has got a certain kind of body. He feels pleasure by eating what? By eating stool. And he cannot improve it. Even if you give him rasagulla, he's not going to take it. Because he feels pleasure only by eating stool. Because he has got that type of body. So according to our body, we get happiness. So our time should be saved and utilized for improving our Krishna consciousness. This is the law of nature. Don't try to improve your material situation, which is what is the advice that is given by over endeavor, right? That is what Nectar of Instruction also talks about. You should not over endeavor. Do your duty, perform your duty. If you are not able to, completely dedicate yourself to Krishna consciousness by working for him, then give the results of your work to Lord Krishna. Krishna is ready to accept that. So just like how we get suffering, you get enjoyment also. So you don't have to specifically endeavor for happiness. How, without asking for, dukkam comes, isn't it? Do we ask for suffering? But suffering comes to us. Likewise, happiness will also come to you depending upon the body that you have. You don't have to endeavor for it. Instead, use that time to put in your endeavor to improve into Krishna consciousness. That is going to give us long-time results. So this is the understanding that Srila Prabhupada gives us. So this is Krishna conscious philosophy. And this is the sum and substance of this verse, according to Srila Prabhupada. And now I want to actually bring out a few things from Journey Home by Radhanath Maharaj Swami. So just wanted to relate it. How compassionate Radhanath Maharaj is something that, and what can we learn from this particular episode in Journey Home? Where is this connection? I'm just going to narrate a few instances. I don't know if we have time. Yeah, we do have a little bit of time. So I'll try to see how much ever I can cover, I will try to cover. So the first point is that Radhanath Maharaj was talking about his experience where he was sitting in the middle of Ganges River. For about 1 month, he sat there from sunrise to sunset, trying to understand life by getting deeper into himself. And, one beautiful lesson that he has learned, he says he will never forget it. And he says, I will apply it every day. So this was 40 years ago. He saw this river and it begins very high, like a glacier near the Gomukh, near the Gangotri. It flows down from Himalayas through the plains of India until over 1,000 miles, it enters Bay of Bengal. And this is like an ocean. So this is the current of Ganges he was trying to describe. And sometimes what happens is there is gigantic rocks blocking its way. Sometimes there are big mountains, sometimes fallen trees, but the current of river always finds its way around, whatever may come in front of it. Either it goes under the rocks or mountains or trees towards its destination. There is no stoppage. Similarly, he says, if we have aspiration in life, whatever may it be, and the greatest aspiration, of course, is to enter the love of Godhead. Enter the spiritual realm. Therefore, there are many obstacles that may come within us. It could be in the form of our doubts. It could be our own laziness. It could be our past conditioning. It could be our attachments. Anything, no matter what, these are not going to all benefit us at all. Whatever impediments are there, it could be too hot, it could be too cold, people are trying to destroy us, there are government problems, there are social problems, there are innumerable impediments that come in our path of our life. But he says, if we are discouraged, if we give up, our progress is blocked. But all of us, if we have the will, if we have our determination and faith to somehow or the other go around this impediment that we saw, right? That the river, no matter whatever obstacles it sees, it just continues to make its way to the destination. Like that, whatever be it that happens in our lives, if we continue to make progress, don't lose hope. Continue, keep striving. Krishna will definitely give you a solution to take care of this problem if you have that determination to continue to please Krishna. So this is what is the understanding that Radhanath Maharaj gives us through that journey home. So he says, of course, Krishna is Supreme Lord and he is Bhavagrahi. So he sees what is the intent with which we do what we do. So do we have the right intent? If we have the right intent, then that is our success. Bhagavad Gita, it explains that we may be, whatever acts that we perform, we may be successful, it may be a successful or it may be a failure, right? But if we do it with the intent of harming others, with the intent of ego, with the intent of false ego specifically, even if we succeed in the eyes of men and women around, we are not succeeding in the eyes of God. We fail. That is what Maharaj says. But even if we apparently fail to the world, if with great determination we try to do anything with a good divine intent, that is an expression of love. That is what is love. That is what is our duty towards the Lord. And in God's eyes, we have fabulously succeeded. This is the essence. That means one should always look for the essence of every situation that comes before us. What is it in store for me? How can I please the Lord? Don't worry about society. Sometimes, it will coincide. Whatever you please, if you have to please the Lord, that will eventually please the people around. But in certain situations, people may not be happy with what you're doing. But if the intent is to please Krishna, then we have that expression of love. Then we have shown our duty towards Lord. I'm not asking here to kind of fight with your family and create trouble and all that. But the intent has to be right. That is what Maharaj is trying to say through his point, that we need to have our intention clear. When the intent is clear to please the Lord, then everything follows along. That is the duty that we need to do towards the Lord. And if it is motivated with the intent of harming others or with the attitude of false ego, even if we succeed, that's not success. That is what Maharaj is trying to say. We have failed in the eyes of Lord. So we need to understand that we have to have the right intent in all situations. Okay. And then he says a beautiful narration of another incident. Probably we'll take another 5 minutes and then wrap it up, because we are running out on time. So he says, I'll just go to that story. There are so many stories that is being narrated in Journey Home, but one of them that really touched my heart is, Maharaj talks about this point where we need to always base our life on higher principle. That is actual love. Seeing the difference between, so for example, he came across the situation where he was sitting on the Ganges for a month, and sometime later he crossed Ganges and he went into this Lakshman Julan bridge in Rishikesh, and then he traveled north in the Himalayas. So he was all alone, okay, and he had just entered the teens. He was just around 20 years, and as he was walking, there was, again, he was just wearing some simple set of clothes and he had no money whatsoever, as you can imagine. And then he was walking along this forest pathway and he was just thinking to himself, what is destiny in store for me? And because you don't know where, he was not sure where he was going, what was going to happen to him. He was just having his feet and he was just walking along that pathway and he didn't know anyone there and he had no funds. So this is what Maharaj was going through. And this makes life fascinating, he says. What will happen next? What is going to happen? So in the forest, there was this clearing, it seems. And there he saw some people very totally poverty stricken, it looks like. coming from Chicago, he was saying, it was a major culture shock for him. There were people with so many ailments, and faces were all decayed, their noses were flat, and they were having fingers which were bloody, their toes were bloody, they were all emaciated, they were all rotten, and they were oozing sores coming out of their body, and others, they were kind of dressed in rags. This was the situation. It was just the end of winter, so it was kind of cold. So I saw these he says he saw these few people, so this is what was going on. He saw it's like a homeless set of people, totally poverty stricken, and he realized that as he walked along that pathway, probably these people had leprosy. So you would have seen, he probably saw only lepers in movies and when he was a little boy, but had no idea about it. So now he's actually seeing people with leprosy, and they actually came close to him. And he was thinking in his mind, oh, hope I don't get leprosy or something like that. Suddenly, he says 20 people converged around him and stuck their body and stuck their hands in his face. And they were shouting, Buckish, like that. So meaning they wanted some donation from him. And honestly, Maharaj had no donation. He might have been healthier than most of the people out there. And he didn't actually speak the language they were speaking, and they didn't understand what he was speaking. So obviously, their eyes were in desperation. They were screaming out, Buckish, Buckish. And they crushed their bodies against Maharaj's body. And he couldn't even move. He was not even let go. And he was thinking, so many contradictions happened at that point in my mind. On one hand, he was thinking, what are these people doing to me? I happen to be walking alone and these people are not even letting me go. What is this? What is going on? So he was actually looking at their suffering. He was looking at that situation from their point of view, how much they are suffering. They don't have money, they have this ailment in their body, and they are really desperately looking for someone so that they can have something, maybe to eat, maybe to whatever. They were just looking for something. This much desperation was seen. And he was so compassionate enough to understand what was their suffering. And then they have, obviously the whole society, they have forsaken them. So how negative they are feeling is something he could understand. And that is how he felt compassionate towards them. See, being compassionate at this point, he couldn't understand. See, if he is going to go near them, will he end up getting leprosy? That was kind of also a confusing situation for him. And this was about 20 minutes. They had Maharaj being as a captive for donation until finally one of them started to pat him down. So to see if he had anything, they searched him completely. There was nothing much to search. And then they discovered that this person had nothing but just a walking stick and a begging pot. So they said, they asked Maharaj, okay, you can go now. So, and then he walked a few steps and he was stopped there. In the front of him, he saw an old lady. Just 15 feet to his left, he saw an old lady. And she was more severe. She was more severely in ailment than anybody else. She had no nose. It was all melted away. She had no fingers or toes. Her face was shriveled and she was completely full of disease. But in her eyes, she was looking at Maharaj. Both of their eyes locked upon each other and they started to stare at each other. With her hands, with no fingers, she actually offered pranams to Maharaj. And then in her eyes, she saw a love of a mother. Maharaj actually saw the love of a loving mother. I could see that. I could feel it, says Maharaj. Here was a woman who was alone and suffering. Ultimately, all she wanted to do was love someone and have someone to reciprocate her love, a love of a mother. And they looked at each other and he was deeply moved by her glance. And then she blessed him. She blessed Maharaj with a motherly love that was there in her heart. That was there in her heart. So Maharaj, he says that before she died, Maharaj actually went to her, fell on her knees. As she was laying down, she could not even sit up. He ran to her and put her head, she happened to put her hand and gave a blessing to Maharaj. So she said something in Hindi and he could understand that, may God bless you, son. She said 3 times. So this is the most blissful thing that has ever happened to him. And tears were pouring from her eyes, tears of joy, tears of giving. So this was so strange for Maharaj. And when he looked up to her, he was thinking, she is the beautiful woman I have seen ever in my life. Her heart was truly beautiful, melting. And this is what Maharaj says is love, right? Love is the most important thing that can bind us in this world. And so love is important at every stage in our life. But what happens in this material world? The love keeps changing. The object of love keeps changing. You can be in love with your child. Now the child has become big. That child has transferred her affection to somebody else. So the love in this material world keeps on changing. There's no stability to the object of love in this material world. But when you look at Krishna, he is the object of love. And there is a permanent relationship that we have with him. This is our constitutional nature. This is our nature to serve the Lord. And when that is there, that is the highest form of love. This is eternal. It is not going to change at any point in time like the love we see in this material world. So we need to hanker for that love towards Krishna, keeping Krishna in center of every relationship, which is what Maharaj was saying. I mean, he was actually getting blessings from this lady. And he says, this lady is the beautiful lady that I have seen ever in my life. She may have a rotting flesh, but her heart is pure. Her heart is full of love. And when we show this love to others, right? Having Krishna in the center, there is nothing like that. In this material world, we can still love people, but have Krishna in the center of relationship. Then that would make it very, very far-fetched. That would make it more revealing. That could help us. The Nectar of Instruction, verse number 4, actually talks about the 6 exchanges that we need to do with devotees, isn't it? Having Krishna in the center, which is very important. So understanding the purpose of our human form of life is very, very important. And Maharaj, through his journey home, he has definitely depicted so many instances. He never gave up on anything. There were so many things that happened to him, but his search for love of God never ended, right? I mean, there was this continued determination that he had, and this is what he's teaching us through his example, through his life example. He's able to teach to us that we should never give up in this path of Krishna consciousness. Keep trying till we endeavor. Krishna is there with us. Once we give up that endeavor, then we are fallen, no matter what. So this is the understanding, dear devotees. I know we have 3 more minutes. I'll just probably conclude. Vancha kalpa tarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Vancha kalpa tarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, devotees. Thank you, dear devotees. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji, for emphasizing these points. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. That book, what you mentioned, Radhanath Maharaj. So we should not miss to read it. It's a very wonderful book. It's just like a suspense thriller all the way. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
There's a new book now, isn't it? Journey Within. This
Journey
was
Within.
Yeah. Okay. So, Hare Krishna, are there any other questions? We have 2 more minutes, and I'd just like to make a comment that today I've understood it. We can attain in devotional service. Like we keep on saying, we should have devotional service. We should offer the Lord. We should keep him in the center of life. But I think today I've understood it practically, what it means. That to keep on having the determination. I think determination and right intent will take us to the love. So sometimes our determination fails. Oh, today I don't want to do 16 rounds. I'm so tired. And I think if the intent is right, you will always get time to do your a few rounds at least. So I really appreciate it, and your statement of keep on going, continue. We might be falling in our sadhana, we might be falling in our intentions, but just to keep going and not to lose the goal. I really understood that very well today, Mataji. Thank you so much. With that, I'll hand over to Path Prabhuji. Prabhuji, over to you. Prabhuji, our mentor.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji, for your very nice class. Also, today's verse is very nice and very popular. And Prabhupada also giving many lectures on that, and all the Guru Maharaj and everyone. It is called like the essence. All the things are essence, but one point of that one. This is the answer of the question of the sages. What is the duty of the human being? There are so many questions, 6 questions, but one thing is that what is the duty? Poro dharma. It means what is the topmost duty of the human being? Then he is telling, what is this? Ahetuki apratihata masu prasiddhyati. So that is interpreted and unmotivated. There is no cause. Why you are doing devotional service? There is no cause. That is the main thing. Sometimes we are go to the temple, or sometimes we are doing some sacrifices. We have some motivators, some intention, maybe ego, maybe pride, prestige, or name, fame, so many things. But here it is telling, Shave Punsha Parodharma, Yota Bhakti Radhakti, Ahetuki Apratihata, Yat Masu Prasiddhati. There is no interpreted, there is no motivation, there is no cause. Just you supposed to do your duty. What is the duty? To Bhakti Adhakyaje, to Bhakti devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the topmost and one duty of every living entity. So that is called the Pungsa. Pungsa means not for the men, all human beings. That is the main thing. So we are supposed to learn. And many things Mataji also told how it's supposed to be love to the Godhead, how to the connection to the Godhead. And here also Prabhupada written like a Prabhuti Marga and Nibruti Marga, how supposed to be control our sense gratification, and we're supposed to be progress on that self-realization. That is the main thing. So it is very nice verses, and we can read more and more and more, then we'll getting more and more mellow, the nectar from these verses. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful summary. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Also, I request all the devotees, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for a glorification of Hare Krishna Radhika Kasturi Mataji. Please join. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Santopya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Radhika Kasturi Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Now all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Haribo.
Haribol.
Haribo.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.